Welcome to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, broadcasting across the Northeast Kingdom in the North Country of New Hampshire. I'm your host, Josh Smith, and we've got another full lineup for you. This week, I'm excited to welcome back Chris Sanborn from R&L Archery to talk about the fall archery season across Vermont and New Hampshire. Whether you're prepping for deer season or just getting into bow hunting, you'll want to stick around. We've also got our usual crew with us, Mark Breen from the Fairbanks Museum with the Outdoor Edge forecast, and Gary Moore with his segment Thoughts on the Out of Doors. It's packed with info that'll help you hit the woods with confidence. So let's get started. All right, we are here live with Chris Sanborn. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This is exciting because, now since we've reintroduced the Outdoor Edge, it used to be called the Hunter's Edge.
Yep.
And you are officially our first reoccurring guest.
My goodness, that's quite the honor.
I know. See, exactly.
That's awesome.
So we were talking before we started getting on the mics, and so there's a few new things from last time we talked. One of the new things is that New Hampshire now uses crossbows?
New Hampshire now allows crossbows in most of their zones for everybody, so no special restrictions on it.
Okay.
And it's huge for archery. Vermont did it a few years ago, and as far as what we have seen in our business and the people participating, it's huge to keep people in it and keep people outdoors and get some new people into archery without having quite the same commitment to, I guess it doesn't take as much practice to be very, very efficient with a crossbow. So that's it's a good thing.
Right. And any new regulations from Vermont and New Hampshire this year?
Vermont new regulations are all, we've heard, a lot of people have heard the things that are coming. They're all next year's regulations.
Okay.
So it's a little confusing. So this year, really nothing changed as far as the hunting seasons in Vermont. New Hampshire, the big thing is that crossbow regulation that it's just been huge getting people into archery.
Right. Do you see a lot of people from New Hampshire coming over to R&L Archery?
We do. We have a pretty good fan base in New Hampshire, which it's awesome. We're kind of humbled that people drive that far to come see us, but yeah, it's always a pleasure, and we send a lot of hunters from Vermont over to New Hampshire as well. So
okay.
Yeah.
Well, and right now we are in the middle of the first part of the Vermont's archery season. So the archery deer season runs from October 1st to November 14th, and then December 1st to 15th because archery is closed during the regular November rifle season.
Yeah.
So my question is, how do you see that split affecting, say, hunter behavior this year? Do more folks push early, or do they wait for December?
You know what? It's an interesting split right now, the way with Vermont's regulations, because a lot of people don't want to tag that buck yet because they want to go out rifle season. And for Vermont, if you shoot one buck, you can't shoot another. So
okay.
You shoot a buck this week in bow season, you're out for rifle. So the hunting push is there now because the weather's very nice. We like being out there and see the sun and feel the sway of the leaves and all that stuff. Experience the outdoors while it's still warm, but yeah, I think a big push comes more in the fall or in the late season. Is kind of a last minute push to try to really scrounge to get something out there. But the bucks, depending on how you hunt, sometimes we're archery buck hunting, and sometimes it's just if it's big enough, we're going to go for it.
So Youth Novice Deer Weekend in Vermont falls on the 25th and 26th.
Yes.
How much of your customer traffic comes from new or younger hunters then?
We always have, the youth are always in and out of the store, which is, it's awesome. And it's, whether it's the fishing aspect, the hunting aspect, like that, seeing the kids get into the outdoor sports is amazing. The youth weekend, it is a big weekend. I think the next year they're going to move it back a little closer to rifle season, and some of the reasoning they say where sports, kids are in their hockey and all that other stuff is all going on. So unfortunately, it's kind of a conflict with school sports and things, but it's always great to see the kids in. We do get quite the uptick right now for the youth and the novice. I think there's fewer people that probably know about the novice. We seem to get much less participation with that, but it's a great weekend for them to all kind of get out there, get a chance, and the experienced hunters can have that time to focus on the new people and not also be trying to get their own deer. So
right.
It's kind of a great program.
Well, it's also turkey archery season.
It is.
So So how often do hunters kind of double up on turkey and deer archery seasons, and how do you advise that the gear shifts between them?
Really, the biggest thing, what we see is most of your turkey shot in the fall are somebody out there deer hunting and a turkey went by. And in Vermont, when you buy your turkey tags in the spring, you get your fall tag with it.
Okay.
So you're not necessarily buying a separate tag to get it. You get that when you go turkey hunting in the spring, and you're sitting out there, you're looking for deer, and a flock of birds come in, and you've got that tag. It's an animal of opportunity. I think there are some people that actually go hunt them, but for the most part, and we have the same with bear. Like a lot of the bear is, well, I had the extra tag, the early season bear tag, just in case, and I was out there hunting for deer, and hey, I got this bear. So it's kind of it's an animal of opportunity, I think.
How complicated is it would be to get a bear with a bow or crossbow?
It's really not that. I mean, it's not that different. I mean, they're bigger animals. The concept's the same. You know, it's shot placement is 100%. I mean, that's all it is. In anything you do when you're in hunting, shot placement is the key to everything. So there's really not a lot of difference in hunting them. And some people do purposely hunt, for bear with a bow. I think it's more common with a firearm, but they do go out with a bow. And like I said, a lot of them are just an animal of opportunity. Sit in the stand, it came out, the shot was right, and, let it go. So.
Yeah, I'm curious because you also have a range where people can actually practice.
We do.
And whatnot.
Yeah.
So looking at it just based purely off of science, like how is the speed of a bullet compared to a speed of an arrow?
Oh yeah, there's no comparison whatsoever. So, but it's also you're hunting different because with when you're out there with a rifle, what I usually say is like we sight in for 100 yards with your rifle because that's what we do here. Realistically, we don't take 100-yard shots in Vermont very long. We don't have you're in the woods, you don't have a 100-yard shot. If you're on the field, maybe you do. When you're with a bow, you go in the woods, you put a tree stand up, and you don't have a 20-yard shot. Like it's with the angles and the undergrowth and all that stuff. You're talking. I mean, my longest shot at a deer out of a tree stand is 15 yards. So whether you're doing a bear or a deer or whatever, it's a very intimate experience. You're watching the ears move. You're seeing the whiskers on the nose. Like it's right there when you're bow hunting. Rifle, when you're going all the way across the field, that different speeds. That's a whole different experience for sure.
Right. Have you gone out hunting so far?
I've been out a couple of times. Okay. Mostly been stuck at the store, but I made it out a couple of times.
Right. Do you get a deer every year?
No.
No,
I don't. You know what? It would be that. It's just too easy if you get one every year. You could add a little challenge to it.
Right. Yeah.
I did manage. I'd hit the one thing that it drives me crazy. Opening day of rifle season, we're sitting down at the check station. We have the state bio check station, so the biologists are there, and everybody comes in, and they're like, "I was out in the woods for 30 minutes, and look at this buck," and I'm like. 30 minutes of hunting that season. You got this monster. That's awesome. Last year it was 3 hours, but I made it out my first day out.
Right.
It wasn't even until rifle season. We're so busy in the store. So I made it out. I was there for 3 hours. I shot myself a nice little 4-pointer. I'm like, so that's what it's like to be the easy hunt experience. That's cool. It's the first one in a while. So,
And how much do you see this being skill versus luck?
Oh, there's a lot of luck involved. Skill for sure. There are people that spend their year round. They're scouting, they're prepping, they're putting food plots in. Like my game cameras are out year round, so I've got an idea what's moving when's. And realistically, right about now, my game camera's going off because this is when the deer are in front of it. I'm just usually still at the store, but that happens. But yeah, there's a lot of that prep that helps.
Right.
And there's the skill and the scent control and the placement of your stands and all that stuff. But if they're not in the area, you're not going to get anything, and that's where the luck comes in.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about the difference between our conversation last season and this season is that there is less water.
There is.
So one theme this year has been drought and low moisture in many parts of Vermont and New Hampshire. So how do you expect drought-stressed vegetation and acorn mass production to impact deer movement and feeding patterns?
So a lot. I noticed I don't have a lot of acorn where I hunt, so I really don't pay a lot of attention to that. It doesn't affect my hunting a whole lot. But the apples this year, it seemed like some of the apples were there early and they were dropping early, which then Now you come to this time of year when we're trying to hunt under apple trees that have apples for the deer, and they've been on the ground for a month and there's nothing there anymore. So that's definitely played a part in there. And water sources. If you're near a water source, every animal out there needs water. So that may change some strategy as far as what place you pick, one versus the other. This one's got a stream that goes by that still has water, as there's some of them are awfully dry this year. So
right. Yeah. All right. So don't go anywhere. We're coming back with more with Chris Sanborn. We're diving into fall bow hunting tips and what gear is moving fast off the shelves at R&L Archery. So stay tuned for that.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
You don't have to go far to find some fishing fun in Vermont, and this beloved summer pastime offers many benefits. Spend time with family and friends, explore new places, enjoy the outdoors, and maybe even catch some dinner. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife website offers resources to help. You can watch fishing videos to learn how, register for a free fishing clinic, or find a public access area near you at vtfishandwildlife.com. Vermont Fish and Wildlife invites you to fish Vermont.
The Autosaver Group's St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram asks, do your outdoor adventures take you to where you wish you had a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive? At St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, explore their vast inventory of adventure-savvy four-wheel drives and all-wheel drive vehicles, ready for you to drive at home. Plus, every St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram deal includes the Big Deal Plus, which is a 2-year unlimited scheduled maintenance plan, which includes free state inspections for life. Stop in today in St. Johnsbury, Vermont, or shop St. Johnsbury Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram online at stjohnsburycdjr.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. I am Joshua Smith, and we are here talking with Chris Sanborn from R&L Archery. And Chris, before the break, we were talking a little bit about drought in the environment, and I had a few more questions about that. So are there any specific gear or scent control products you're seeing higher demand of because of the drier conditions?
I'm not sure that it's changed a lot of the gear that we've sold so far, although obviously far fewer rain suits and rain gear. Otherwise, it hasn't really changed a whole lot as far as the products. I think most of what we do on a regular basis, scent killer, whether it's a dry year or wet year, that stuff all tends to work pretty well. I think it's more maybe more hunting strategy change than as far as equipment or gear change in what we're doing.
And do you recommend modifying shooting practices under drought years, like shorter shots, focus on flyways near water or anything?
Yeah, I think ultimately it doesn't, as far as deer and things like that, I don't think it really matters a whole lot. I don't think it affects, maybe setting up closer to water sources. That can be beneficial to you because, like I said, everything needs to drink once in a while.
Right. So R&L also notes that archery season pauses November 4th when rifle season begins. How do you keep your staff and customers engaged during that pause?
Oh, it's a very interesting, it's an interesting pause because we do firearm stuff as well. So there is a time where we are bow, gun. So, and it's going to be a little bit conflicting. As you mentioned, Youth Weekend's coming up, but as I think the weekend after is also the antlerless muzzleloader season. So we've started to see some of that muzzleloader push. A lot of my bow guys are also firearm hunters, and some of them are also muzzleloader hunters. So it's very much it's a fluid thing, and it's I guess some of the bow hunters they put it down and they're done for the rifle season. Most of them just pick up a gun, and you can not to confuse everybody, but we get this question all the time. You can use your bow during rifle season hunting under the rifle rules. So archery season is closed. You can't, no doe, it's under the archery rules. But anytime you can use a firearm, you can use your bow. So our diehard archers out there, you can still use your bow during rifle season. You're just following the rifle season rules.
Okay. And what would be those rifle season rules that you mentioned?
Bucks only. That's the big one.
Okay.
So that takes effect. Whereas Vermont, you can get 4 deer tags and you can take up to 4 doe with a bow, but rifle season's 1 tag, 1 buck, And it doesn't matter if you're using a bow, a muzzleloader, or a rifle during that week. You're hunting under the rifle season rules.
Right. Now, the other thing about R&L Archery, so with many beginning hunters shopping for gear, how do you structure, say, like layaway payment plans or like entry-level bundling at R&L to encourage newcomers?
We do layaway, and we'll offer it on anything we do. We 20% down and 3 months to pay for it. And whether it's a scope, a set of clothing, a new firearm, a bow, whatever you want to do, we do that for sure. And then with a lot of our bows, you don't just buy a bow. There's so many things that have to go on that. We do offer discount with the accessories that get purchased at the time. So we do try to get all that out there. Plus, we spend the time to make sure it fits. We have the indoor range you mentioned, so we make sure that when you go out there, I love to sell arrows, but I want you to hit the target the first few times before you start losing them. You have more fun that way. You'll shoot them more. But so we try to get you dialed in so when you head out there that you're going to hit the target. You're going to have a good experience with it. So that's all part of making sure that you get in there, you get excited, you have fun, and I mean it's great. It's great when you get a new shooter that's shooting better than they thought they would. So that's one of the favorite. Somebody's done it forever. They buy a new bow, they're like, oh, I really like this, and they're doing their thing, whatever. But it's that new person that's like, wow, that's the part we really love.
So I remember last year here, you were telling me that every year, like I asked the question and you corrected me on it, where I said, it's just a bow. Like, how can you what? There's no technology. It's like, oh no, every year there's something.
Every year there's something different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is weird. Like vertical bows, your standard compound bows don't seem to be changing a lot year to year. They are adding new things so that you can tune them yourself. You don't need a shop to do it. You don't need bow presses to do it. You don't need any tools. So they're adding some things to that, which is kind of cool for anybody who wants to tinker. A lot of the times you don't need to, but you want to go for it. In the crossbow world, that has changed so much year after year, to the point that the crossbows, I have customers coming in with 10-year-old crossbows that they don't want to replace them because it was $1,000 crossbow 10 years ago and it was the best thing. And now I have a $350 crossbow that meets or exceeds that performance of that bow 10 years ago.
Right.
$350. Like, I hate to say that to somebody like, you've had that forever, but these things have come so far. Like the crossbows, an average bow, they speed rate them 300 to 350 feet per second. Crossbows right now, the average one is 400 feet per second.
Wow.
The fast ones right now, Raven is 500 feet per second, 10 points, 515 feet per second. Like these things, you can't see the arrow go. You pull the trigger and then you have to walk up to the target and see where you hit. It's just amazingly fast.
Wow.
So.
And you also remind you taught us last year that lights are illegal.
Yes.
Explain that.
Shining a light, whether we can see it or not, is illegal in Vermont. So no flashlights, no headlights, nothing like that. But it also pertains to laser pointers. Even the laser on a handgun, that red laser pointer, that's illegal. And then when you get into predator hunting and you start talking the infrared stuff, what looks like a flashlight, when you hit the button, it casts an infrared light. It's illegal to cast that on game in Vermont. So that kind of cuts all of that out. There is still ways to do it with thermal imaging, but lights are not permitted.
Right. So in the archery world, and you get in catalogs and stuff, what's the big buzz of new equipment that's coming out?
That's a really good question. We're just starting to see stuff right now. Bear Archery just launched their new bow and their new bow line October 1st. They've got some new accessories. The archery world is a little bit boring, and I hate to say that as a retailer because I'm supposed to build excitement for you to come in. But a lot of things don't change a lot. But like with the new Bear, their top end bow, they are making it so that you can tune cam lean, which is part of a tuning thing to get your arrow flight. And other companies have had that for a while. Matthews has had it, Bowtech's had it. But with the Bear, they do it off the limb pockets, and then you can not only do the left and right on the cam, but you can adjust the up and down on the knock point, which helps. So there's some new technology coming there. Most of our new stuff coming for next year, we are going to find out in the next 2 months. Most of my bow companies are going to launch in November. Bear's the early exception. And then we just had a new one come out from Bowtech as well. But that's kind of a price point thing. Like, things haven't changed a whole lot yet, but we give it a couple of months. There's going to be some new and exciting. They're going to come up with something. They always do.
It's true, they do. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and still ahead, we have more questions and more conversations we're going to have with Chris Sanborn, but coming right up after this, Gary Moore joins us with his latest thoughts on the out of doors. This week, Gary shares his conversation that he has some notes and he has some news for us, and also has talking about hunting season, so stay tuned for that.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family, because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
Autumn's here, the air is clear. Home projects wait this time of year. From kitchens fresh to bathrooms new, Batchelder brings fine crafts to you. Fully insured with trusted skill, Groton's own team gets the bill. Visit vtcarpenter.com today. We'll build it right the Batchelder way.
Good evening. Welcome to Thoughts on the Out of Doors. Coming right up, next weekend, that's October 25th and 26th, that's an important time, both in New Hampshire and Vermont, because that's when both states have their youth deer hunting weekend. New Hampshire's deer hunting weekend, like I say, is next weekend, or weekend after this coming, October 25th, 26th. It's the perfect time to take a young person hunting. These special weekends give youth ages 15 and younger the opportunity to go deer hunting with an adult mentor without the pressure of competing with adult hunters who will be out there when the main season opens a little while later. The laws are a little bit different in New Hampshire and Vermont, so I'm going to highlight both. Accompanying adults in New Hampshire must be licensed hunters and are not permitted to carry a firearm. In Vermont, the same weekend, October 25th to 26th, resident or non-resident youth, 15 years of age or younger on the weekend of the hunt, who has successfully completed a hunter safety course may obtain a free youth hunting tag to hunt during this season. Now, this is Vermont again. The youth must also purchase a Vermont hunting license at a licensed agent by either showing proof of satisfactorily completing the hunter safety course or proof of having held a valid hunting license previously. The youth hunter's parent or guardian must sign the hunting license application in the presence of the licensed agent. When hunting, the youth hunter must be accompanied by an unarmed adult over 18 years of age who holds a valid Vermont hunting license. In Vermont, the adult may accompany no more than 2 youth hunters at any given time. The adult must have direct control and supervision, including the ability to see and communicate with the youth hunter without the aid of artificial devices such as radios or binoculars, except for medically necessary devices such as hearing aids or eyeglasses. It's important to remember that Vermont law requires landowner permission in order to hunt on private land with a youth deer tag during youth deer weekend. There was some opposition to the youth weekend coming before the normal season, and so that's why this was added to Vermont's law. And by the way, I encourage you to have the young person get the permission, not you. It gets them thinking the right way. Landowners are not exempt from the requirement to purchase tags to hunt deer on their own property on this youth weekend. A Vermont youth deer hunting tag is valid for 1 deer of either sex on youth deer weekend, and the antler restriction that applies in other deer seasons does not apply, so they can shoot any deer. I especially like the fact that the amount of fines in Vermont will be doubled for any violation that occurs on youth deer hunting weekend. And get this, the fine will be assessed against the licensed adult who has the youth hunter in his or her charge. That's a good way to make sure things are done ethically and legally. In both Vermont and New Hampshire, I encourage you, if you know a youth who might be interested in hunting, to volunteer to take them out. After all, it's a way to pass on a tradition that our generation took for granted and many today don't even consider. This way, the youth can learn to hunt safely and ethically. We're in the middle of Vermont's archery deer season that opened October 1st, and certainly a lot of people are out in the woods right now. For the first couple of weeks, it's been unusually warm, and the hunters I've been talking to have been complaining that the deer aren't moving. New in Vermont this year, hunters are able to report turkeys and some deer they harvest this fall online through the Fish and Wildlife website. The turkeys may be reported online or in person at a regional big game reporting station. The deer may be reported online or in person during the archery and muzzleloader seasons, but during the rifle season in November, the deer must be reported in person, and also during the youth and novice deer hunting seasons. This in-person reporting requirement allows biologists to collect important information from deer during these seasons. They take a tooth, they get accurate weights, and all that sort of stuff. That's important. So if you can take your deer to a biological reporting station, do so. Bear season has been open in both states since September 1st. In Vermont, they must be reported in person at a regional big game reporting station. The hunter must also submit a premolar tooth from the bear at the time the bear is reported or within 30 days. That tooth of a bear, they cross-section it, and it's like the rings on a tree. It can tell how old that bear is. So even if you don't report it where there's a biologist, you're required to send in that tooth, and an envelope is provided. In Vermont, you're required to report your bear, deer, or turkeys within 48 hours. And in the case of a bear or deer, if the warden requests, you must take them to the kill site so that they can see where it happened to verify whatever it is you're telling them. While we're talking about hunting, antlerless permits. You had to apply for those back late summer. They had the draw in Vermont on September 9th. And by the way, there are still antlerless permits available for the muzzleloader season for several of the wildlife management units, especially those here in this part of the Connecticut River Valley. They can be purchased on the Fish and Wildlife website or at any local licensed agent on a first-come, first-served basis. They cost $10 for residents and $25 for non-residents. You can only hold one antlerless permit at a time, but if you already have one in the drawing and get your deer, you can purchase another one if they're available on time. Now that we've talked primarily about the hunting seasons in Vermont and New Hampshire, primarily deer, bear, and turkey, let's move on to some news. First off, Vermont, and by the way, New Hampshire, is urging hunters to avoid using deer lures. Any lure containing deer urine or other deer bodily fluids, it's illegal in Vermont and definitely discouraged in New Hampshire. That's because of chronic wasting disease. It's a fatal disease of deer that is a mutant protein or prion that can be passed as urine. These prions can bind to soils and remain infectious for many years. Nearly all urine-based lures are produced in captive deer facilities where CWD is most likely to occur. There's no way to stop it once it comes. It could devastate the deer herd in either Vermont or New Hampshire. It's 100% fatal to deer and moose. It causes irreversible population declines. Do your part. Don't use natural deer urines. Again, while I'm urging you to do your part, hey, if you see a violation, report it. Vermont or New Hampshire, report it. Those poachers, those doing things illegally, they're harming you and I. They're stealing the wildlife that belongs to all of us. If they're hunting unethically, they're giving all of us hunters a bad name. Report it. In New Hampshire, they have Operation Game Thief. You can call, you can leave a message without giving your name. And by the way, they give rewards over in New Hampshire. Do your part. Make sure everyone obeys the law. They're not shooting from the road. They're not shooting after hours. You see somebody spotting in the field at night, give a call. You can help. The next meeting of the Hampshire Fish and Game Commission will be held on Tuesday, October 21st at 1 p.m. Commission meetings take place on the third Tuesday of each month unless scheduled otherwise. And by the way, they're always open to the public. This particular meeting will be held at Fish and Game headquarters in Concord. You can go online a few days ahead and get the agenda. And by the way, in this case, following the Fish and Game Commission meeting, they will have the second and final biennial public hearing of this year, which will be held at 6 p.m. at the Fish and Game Department headquarters. And by the way, as you've heard me say before, these biennial hearings are regarding changing of regulations or updating them. Also, over in New Hampshire, OHRV enthusiasts can register their machines for the 25-26 season and beyond by now online. Yep, you can do it online. You don't have to go to a licensed agent. That's a big help for your snowmobile or ATV registration. Coming up this weekend, for that matter, this coming Saturday, a couple of days away, Vermont Fish and Wildlife's annual spiny softshell turtle beach cleanup will be held over on Lake Champlain in North Hero State Park. If you're interested in the ecology of the lake and helping out an endangered species, this is a good chance to get over and learn and volunteer your time. One of the wildlife biologists from Fish and Game, Tony McCullough, will have a hatching spiny softshell turtles on hand. We'll talk about them, and as you clean up the area and help prepare for the nesting, it's a good time to get out and help a species and also learn a lot. You can find out more about it on the website. If you're available, it might be worth a drive. Closer to home, right down here in Newbury, Tucker Mountain Town Forest has a new children's book installed on its Vance Brook Trail. This is a great chance to take your kid and wander the trail looking at each of the individual displays from the book, which talk about things of interest to all of us, but especially to young people interested in being outside. Willow in the Storm is the book. It was written by Vermont forester Ethan Tapper, who many of you know. It's a book about ecology, regeneration, resilience, and the end of life. Willow lives on a little farm with her parents and grandfather, who every day takes her on a walk in the woods and teaches her about the trees, plants, and animals. And if you take this walk in the Tucker Mountain Forest, you too and your child will learn about all those things. The previous books they've had on the trail have been excellent and very well received. And if you have a young person, as a matter of fact, even if you don't have a young person, I found it valuable. I took my dog Oak around. I don't know if Oak learned anything, but he enjoyed it anyways. Not far from here, Lower Sims Pond in Reigate. Barnet resident and devoted angler Andrew Ostringer had brought his bass, if he had brought his bass to a certified scale before filleting the fish, he would have held a new state record, according to Vermont Fish and Wildlife biologist Sean Good. As soon as I got word about the trophy smallmouth bass, I called Good. He's the state record fish program and master angler program administrator. He seemed disappointed the fish could not be officially listed as a state record. He told me, it's rare but not unheard of for anglers who plan to keep a nice fish for dinner to grab an unofficial weight at home, realize the catch might be a record, and reach out, he said. That's exactly what Andrew did. Even though Fish and Wildlife can't accept a weight from a non-certified scale for our official record book, We can all agree this new unofficial record is one heck of a fish story. It's near I've seen the pictures of the fish. It's nearly 2 feet long. According to Ostinger, on his personal fishing scales, it tipped at 7 pounds 6 ounces. According to Good, that makes his bass a full 10 ounce heavier than the current state record. He caught the fish while he was on Sims Pond fishing from a kayak. Certainly a big fish. And he can be proud of it, even though it didn't get the chance to be recorded as the state record. I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago in my column, as you know. However, since that time, it's been picked up by papers all over the state. It's a great story. It's a fish story, but this one's a true fish story. Our foliage season, it's over as far as I'm concerned. Certainly in this area, and definitely there's some foliage way in southern Vermont. Earlier this week, I was down in Cuttingsville for a hazmat call, and there was some foliage down there, but with this wind and rain we've had the last couple of days, I suspect by now it's all gone. It was different this year. Seemed to me it came early. I think the drought we had a lot to do with it. And though there was some pretty good colors in my travels around the state, they just didn't seem as vibrant. However, we still had the flood of leaf peepers coming, as we do every year, causing some traffic issues. For the third year in a row, the section of Cloudland Road in Pomfret had to be closed to all but local traffic. Again, that's because of social media. That kept getting posted over and over and over as you got to go take the pictures there. Vermont and New Hampshire are loaded with places, but social media always directs people to the same places over and over. They get overcrowded. They have problems with trash. You can't find a place to park. This year, for instance, the first time Franconia Notch State Park was forced to close the trail leading up to Artist Bluff, which overlooks Franconia Notch. Wonderful place. I go there at least once or twice a year, but I make sure I don't go there on the weekend or during foliage season because it gets overrun. As a result, this year, they closed the short trail leading up and now make it a round trip where everyone has to go the same way. So now the full loop is 1.2 miles, which, by the way, a lot of people are still making it. But it's not quite as bad as it was last year. So, my time is up. My column last week marked 48 years since it was started in the Journal Opinion on October 12th, 1977. That's 48 years of writing a column every week, 52 times a year. It has started in the Journal Opinion. It expanded all the way to the Mass border with the Brattleboro Reformer, came up through, appeared in the Claremont Eagle, the Valley News, now in the Bridge Weekly, the Caledonian Record, and the Orleans County Record. So you can read it from the Massachusetts to the Quebec border. It wouldn't be possible without the help of all of you who give me tips, who encourage me, and make suggestions of what I should cover and what you think's important. Thank you all. God willing, it will make it for up to 50 years. I've only got 2 left. Thanks a lot.
It's the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
You don't have to go far to find some fishing fun in Vermont, and this beloved summer pastime offers many benefits. Spend time with family and friends, explore new places, enjoy the outdoors, and maybe even catch some dinner. The Vermont Fish and Wildlife website offers resources to help. You can watch fishing videos to learn how, register for a free fishing clinic, or find a public access area near you at vtfishandwildlife.com. Vermont Fish and Wildlife invites you to fish Vermont.
At R&L Archery, we know it's not just about the thrill of the hunt or the size of the fish. It's about the moments that matter most, the traditions passed down from one generation to the next, and the stories told by the fire long after the sun is set. It's about the journey, the memories, and the time spent together with friends and family. because these are the moments that truly last a lifetime. R&L Archery, where every adventure begins. Come create your story.
Welcome back to the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge, and we just heard Gary Moore's thoughts on the out of doors. And right now we're sitting here with Chris Sanborn from R&L Archery. And Chris, there's some points that Gary brought up about poaching and all that stuff too.
Yeah, that unfortunately is a part of our sport, or I guess it's outside of the rules of our sport. Which is always an unfortunate thing.
Yeah. And it's more and more now. It's more acceptable to report these things now too.
Years ago it seemed like camp meet was a thing where we don't talk about this one and this is what, and it's not. It does not work that way these days, which is it's good. Like Fish and Wildlife puts the rules in there for a reason. It's not just because they felt like it. So some of those rules, bait piles and things like that, they're there for a reason, actually to help the sport and help protect our wildlife. So that's a good thing. And if, as they say, see something, say something, and
right.
it has become more socially acceptable to report that stuff. It affects everybody's hunting.
Right. So I want to focus on things you brought up last year. So last year when you were on, you emphasized draw length consistency. What refinements or checks do you personally recommend as folks get out in October?
So, the biggest thing as we get out in October and preseason, there's all kinds of things. Like you're working on shooting. When you're shooting a regular compound bow, you're working on your shooting form constantly. Remember the little things. As I'm sitting in the lanes with people, we talk all the time. We're like, okay, so anchor point. Make sure you're in the same spot every time. You want, that little bit of a bend to your arm. Make sure you're looking through the peep sight. Squeeze the trigger. Little things, little steps. It becomes a process. It becomes habitual. Once the season gets going, people forget to practice. And it is a perishable skill. Your muscle tone will start to diminish, not to mention you don't get it. You don't keep as consistent groups. When you pull the bow out for the first time in 9 months, you don't shoot as well as you did when you put it away. So once the season gets up and gets going, we do need to take a little bit of a time out and shoot our bow and keep our skills up and make sure we're still hitting everything. And even in the crossbow side of things, when your bow is sighted and your crossbow sighted in, I can take somebody who's never shot a crossbow, we'll shoot at 20 yards, you hit the bullseye every time at 20 yards and you're happy and you go. But things happen, you're going in and out of the woods, sometimes up and down trees, you can bump your scope. Shoot that at a target once in a while just to make sure everything is still on, because that's a big deal. That's accuracy is everything, and shot placement when you're shooting at a live animal, shot placement is the most important thing, hands down. And if you're not shooting the way you always shoot because you didn't practice, or a scope got bumped, or the sights on your bow get bumped, or something, a lot of things can happen. We have a lot of bows that come in for repair for a lot of different reasons, and that affects your point of impact, which on the other end of it is that's your success right there. And sometimes it just takes 5 minutes a day. Just, when you get out of the woods, shoot 3 arrows, then go on with whatever else you're going to go do.
So what is the most interesting way a bow that was broken? Like someone walked in and goes, what did you do to this thing?
There's hundreds of stories. Some of the more common ones we find, bows get dropped out of trees a lot. Sometimes it's because the rope we use to lower it, something lets go and it falls, and that's sometimes bent cams and things like that. Very common in crossbow worlds. We like to lean on things when we shoot to use a rest, and if we're shooting out of some sort of a hunting blind, and you get too close to the window, we forget that those bows get bigger when you pull the trigger, and they'll bounce the limb off of the side of the shack, which then blows the cables out the other side and bends the cams. And I keep saying that you're not going to do anything to one of these bows that I haven't seen before. That's a lie. Every year somebody brings in something else. I'm like, okay, I haven't seen that before, but thank you for your originality and doing something different. It's just I was on the phone with I think it was Matthews today. We're working on getting parts on a bow, and he told me, he says, I've had 3 guys call me today that ran over their bows with their truck. Okay. That was in a commercial somewhere about the durability, but don't do that because they're really not that durable, even if they do it on TV.
I know. Yeah. You're also mentioning too last year is like what you love about bows and crossbows is that you can come home from work and practice with them and not upset your neighbors.
Absolutely. It's and I really like the fall.
Yeah.
In the summertime, I get it. I mean, it works for my schedule, I guess, is where I'm going with that. We close at 6 o'clock. You get home at 6 o'clock in July, you've got 3 hours of daylight to go do whatever you want. You get home at 6 o'clock in October, you've got an hour until it's dark. So you can walk out in the backyard, spend 30, 40 minutes shooting your bow, and you've gotten some fresh air, got a little bit of sun as it's setting. You've practiced your skills. And yeah, I didn't go hunting that day, but I only had an hour. I didn't have enough time to go hunting anyways. But it's a great outdoor recreation, fresh air, muscles. Like it's I don't know. It's just something fun about it. And you can do it in 20 to 30 minutes. You don't have to. You're not committed to a great big long thing.
Right.
And you do it in your backyard. There's no great big long pack up and let's go.
So broadhead selection is always a hot topic. Given the 2025 conditions, are there head types you lean toward under varying terrain, cover, or plant stress?
No. Actually, broadheads mostly for me are there's a couple of ways to pick your broadhead. If you are, and again, talking crossbow versus vertical bow, crossbows have specific broadheads for them. We typically recommend doing mechanical broadheads in a crossbow because you cannot tune the flight of it. So if there's any wobble in the arrow, a fixed blade tends to wander quite a bit. And then you do them crossbow rated because there's more energy there, so you don't want those blades opening up in flight. When it comes to a regular compound bow, fixed blade versus mechanical, it's a choice. A mechanical blade is going to fly closer to your field tip, so you don't have to be quite so perfect flying on your arrow. If there's any wobble in the air, it should still hit like your field point. With your fixed blade broadhead, that wobble, that thing's going to drift. So your tuning's got to be a little bit better, and your shooting form's got to be good. If you torque the bow or something, your shot's going to be off. But it's also going to give you better penetration. So in here, where like my shooting style, I'm 20 yards and under. Some people on the edge of field, 30, 40 yards. Either one of them can work pretty well. When you start talking guys that are going out west and you're hunting elk and you're shooting them at 70 yards, well, now you want a head that's going to have maximum penetration and great arrow flight. So that's where we start looking at tuning the flight a whole lot more and getting a fixed blade broadhead to go so that you have that energy to penetrate and do what you need to do and be effective.
Okay. All right. We have more. I have a few more questions I'm going to ask you before the end of the hour, but we got to stick around because coming up, we'll hear from Mark Breen at the Fairbanks Museum with your Outdoor Edge weekend forecast. Whether you're scouting or sitting in the stand, his outlook could help you pick the perfect day for a fall hunt. So stay tuned for that.
It's a St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge on YKR Country.
Autumn's here, the air is clear. Home projects wait this time of year. From kitchens fresh to bathrooms new, Batchelder brings fine crafts to you. Fully insured with trusted skill, Groton's own team gets the bill. Visit vtcarpenter.com today. We'll build it right the Batchelder way.
Hi, this is Jay Davis, co-founder of NortheastKingdomOnline.com. As Northern New England's leading digital marketing agency, we will help your business harness the power of SEO, social media, and beyond to enhance your online presence. Your customers are looking for you. Work with our team of marketers to build a complete online marketing strategy. Visit NortheastKingdomOnline.com to see how we can heighten your brand. Achieve more with NortheastKingdomOnline.com.
I'm Mark Breen. Welcome to the Outdoor Edge forecast. Well, October hasn't been soggy. At least we've seen a few spells of rain, waking up a few streams, and some very modest rises in water levels. Any late season water activities will have to take the very low rivers, streams, and even some lakes into account. It means trouble could be lurking just under the water's surface. Rocks, trees, and so forth normally well submerged. Also, the fire danger is abnormally high. Those usual campfires have become a significant danger, so again, you'll likely have to adjust your plans accordingly. Our foliage seems to be transitioning from in the trees to on the ground, and of course that means raking, but again, sometimes the traditional idea of burning leaves will have to wait until we get more reliable rain. There is some rain in the forecast for Sunday night into Monday, so opportunities may be developing in the not-too-distant future. Many of us enjoy walking through those leaves, but we're also sharing the woods with our hunting friends. Archery season continues, and with our recent cooler temperatures, the deer have become more active. In terms of hunting hours, our sunrises continue to get later, and over the next few weeks, we'll have some of our latest sunrises of the year, going from 7:15 to 7:25 by the end of the month. Likewise, the sun is setting earlier, close to 6 o'clock now, and heading for 5:40 by Halloween. Weather patterns are in flux, and you'll likely see some typical ups and downs, both with temperature and some periods of rain. A more active week is coming up, a period of rain or showers Sunday night into Monday, and then it becomes uncertain whether another system gets organized for the middle of the week or perhaps waits until the end of the week. Unlike recent months, it does not appear we're going to see any extended spells of dry weather. Nothing shockingly cold is indicated either, so we may not see any previews of winter. For those hoping for our share of cold and snow for the upcoming winter, that might be good news. Cold Octobers and early snowfalls don't usually give us a cold winter. Now let's get back to the forecast through the weekend. For tonight, mostly clear. Temperatures will settle back into the upper 20s and low 30s. North winds will diminish. For Friday, mostly sunny, highs will be in the 50s, light winds will become northerly, generally less than 10 miles per hour. Friday night, mostly clear, lows again in the upper 20s and low 30s. Saturday, a mix of sun and clouds, not as cold, highs upper 50s and low 60s, light winds will turn into the south later in the afternoon. Saturday night, partly cloudy, not so chilly, 30s to near 40, and Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds, warmer, highs in the 60s. That's your Outdoor Edge forecast. I'm Fairbanks Museum meteorologist Mark Breen. Good luck, be safe, and enjoy the great outdoors.
Thank you very much, Mark. And we are back. And so we've got another question to ask you then, Chris, is what one piece of advice do you want every hunter to take with them into the woods this October? Not just about gear, but just even mindset-wise.
Just remember why you're out there. We get kind of worked up over shooting a deer. It is, I guess, the end goal, and some people that is their only reason to go out there. But I can tell you for myself, when I go out there, it's really shooting a deer is it's probably the third or fourth reason why I'm sitting. It's the excuse why I go. But you go out there, you just, whether you're sitting in a blind or you're sitting in a tree, it's you with your thoughts. You get a chance to decompress. You're unplugging from the world, and you're kind of out there watching everything go by. You're kind of a guest in the woods. You're kind of seeing what's going on when nobody else is paying attention. All of that is a big thing of it. And I mean, I had a friend that asked me once, "Why do you hunt?" So I put her in a tree stand. I'm like, "Here, sit here," and then I left. I went back and got her 3 hours later. She stopped talking to me. But I mean, I tried to get that, but it's a thing. If you can, we're so distracted in everything we do. And it's not, it's TV screens and it's windows and people, and there's just noise everywhere. And then you get out there and you can sometimes hear the cars or the airplanes or whatever, but you can also hear the geese fly over. You hear the squirrel that sounds like the monster buck. I've had owls fly in. You get the chickadees that are bouncing from tree to tree, branch to branch, and right by your shoulder. It's a very different experience, and we don't usually slow down to see that. And it's one of my absolute favorite things about being out in the woods, and it takes hunting season to get me to do it. And I think a lot of people, with the exception of spring turkey season, I don't go out and do it in the spring. In the summertime, we're off doing other things. Just fall's kind of a time to slow down, take a breath, kind of enjoy all that. Sometimes it's great to get a deer, and that's the story we all tell, the success story of that. But sometimes, I've watched them. You sit there and you watch that deer go down and say, I could shoot that deer right now. I do not want to drag that deer right now. So I'm just going to watch it. And we had a great night, go back home. Did you see anything? Yep, I did. Did you shoot anything? Nope, I didn't. But still had a great night in the woods.
That's the equivalent of fishing and catching a fish but letting it go.
Absolutely. Or even fishing and not catching a fish, but just enjoying being out there as opposed to coming back frustrated. There's a couple different mentalities there, I guess. But it is, that's the big thing, is just get out there and enjoy it. We're out there for a lot of reasons. If it was just about shooting a deer, this would be a very different sport. Right. It is about the very bow hunting for me, again, is a more intimate thing because you're closer to the game, and you never know. I've had them where I sit there with my eyes closed for a minute, you open your eyes, and there's an animal in front of you. It might not be a deer. It might be a coyote going through. It might be whatever. You just hear something like, now that's interesting. I would not have seen that from my couch today. So it's great. It's great. That's the whole reason you go out is for something like that.
Right. So that's Chris. That's what we're talking to Chris Sanborn from R&L Archery. How can people go to R&L Archery?
So we're in downtown Barrie. We're on Smith Street in downtown Barrie. Hit our website, rlarchery.com. We don't sell things on the website. It's just kind of to drive you to where we are. But, guns, bows, kayaks, fishing stuff. We do it all. We like to play outdoors. So, and then we like to make sure you guys have a good time too. All of our staff does what we sell. So it's kind of important to us to be able to say, well, try this. This is what I tried. And, also there's things where we're like, don't do this. It didn't work for us either.
All right. So that's going to do it for this episode of the St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Rams Outdoor Edge. Big thanks to Chris Sanborn from R&L Archery for joining us again. It's always great getting firsthand insight into Vermont and New Hampshire's fall archery season. And of course, we want to thank Mark Breen for the weather forecast and Gary Moore for his always thoughtful take on life outdoors. Thanks as well as St. Johnsbury Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram for making this show possible. This show airs live every first and third Thursday of the month at 6 p.m. and is available on demand the next day on the WYKR app at WYKR.com and anywhere you find your podcasts. We'll see you next time.
WTWN Wells River, W286DE Wells River.
Serving Northeast Vermont and Northwest New Hampshire since 1976. WYKR, Haverhill. It's 7 o'clock.